Happy Mother's Day to all you moms out there. It is wonderful that we get to celebrate a day where all my kids are like, what do you want for Mother's Day? I'm like, I really just, two things. I don't want to cook for you, and I don't want to answer any questions. Just don't ask me any questions. And they're immediately like, is that really what you want? I'm like, I said no questions. So for real, my perfect day, I don't need to be taken out anywhere. I don't need to be, all wooed and all that. You know what I need? I need a hot cup of tea. I like to read, and I would like to watch reality television. And I don't want to watch any kid show, right? Thank you. That's what she wants, right? That's what I want for Mother's Day. So if you guys know me, you know two things about me. I love history, and I love tea. Does anybody else in this room love tea? Anybody? Oh my gosh, I love you all even more now. Tea is so delicious. So I thought since it's Mother's Day, I get to do my favorite thing, and I'm going to tell you the history of tea. Aren't you excited? I know you're excited. Well, first of all, there are a lot of different kinds of teas. If you don't know that, literally, if the only tea that you drink is Lipton tea out of a bag, we can't be friends. No, I'm kidding. We can still be friends. There are so many kinds of tea, but I want to tell you a little bit about the history of tea. Tea, actually, there was a monk thousands of years ago, and he was in China, and he ate some awful food, and so his stomach was not settling, so he just started to eat the leaves of this bush and to relieve what was happening inside. And so it ended up happening that these leaves kind of cured his stomach. And so he brought them back to his village, and they're like, this is medicine. We don't need doctors anymore. We're just going to eat these leaves. And so they started to eat them, and it turned out it was the tea bush. And so they started to eat them. So tea was originally eaten and not drank. And so then they started putting it in these, they started to crush the leaves and make them into these, cakes almost, these, these cookie cakes that they used to eat. And then they used to put them in soup broths and make it into, a hot soup with noodles. I thought to myself, that is awful. I like sweet tea. I like a good hot cup of cream Earl Grey tea. Now, I grew up drinking tea. My gram drank tea. My mom drank tea. My great-gram drank tea. My kids and I have tea in the morning. If you come to my house, I have over 100 teapots. Most of them get used. I collect shoes too. I was going to say I don't collect other things, but I collect shoes. I love tea, and so when my friends go away, or when I go to a foreign country, or it is a pattern, I always get teacups or teapots. So I want to tell you a little bit about some of the teapots that are in front of you. This one, a very good friend of mine got me from Thailand, so this is from Thailand. Here's the other thing, when I was growing up, there were certain teacups you weren't allowed to touch. Anybody have that? Was there any china or rooms or places you just weren't allowed to go? I decided that was not going to be the case at my house. So we use all this stuff. This is stuff that gets used. And if it gets broken, it's just things, right? I like to create memories with the kids. And so this one is from Thailand. This one is from Russia. My dear friend Kim Weary got it for me. This one is from Russia. Isn't it pretty? It's so pretty. I love it. This one here is from Turkey, and I learned a very, very tough lesson. It was awful. In Turkey, they drink cold tea or lukewarm tea. They don't drink hot tea because it's 1.5 million degrees there. So they don't drink hot tea. Well, dum me, I like hot tea. So when my mom brought this back for me from Turkey, and so I put hot tea in it, and it burned my face off. Because this is metal, and my everything was burned. So if you choose to use this at my house, you're not allowed to drink it with hot things. This one is from India. My mom also went to India, so this little one and the teacups. And all of these, actually, the majority of these also have teapots that go with them. I thought that'd be a little much, right? Too much to do. This one is from Italy. I had a really sweet friend go to Italy, and they had it hand-painted for me from someone in Italy. I like to use that one a lot. And my one that means probably the most to me is this teapot right here. It's the most plain, but it is from my great-grandma, And she got it right after the Depression. It was one of the only presents that she got for years and years. And so when she passed away at 99 years old, and she lived a long, wonderful life. She was so funny. She lived on the 3rd floor of an apartment, and she refused, at 99 guys, and she refused to use the elevator. She had to use the stairs. And there was this really sweet neighbor across the hall. He was 87. And he would always try to help her carry her groceries and help her upstairs. She's like, back off. I was married. I don't want to date you. And I'm like, man, he's just being nice. And she's like, he's way too young for me. I'm like, young? He's 87. So every time I drink out of this teapot, I think of my gran, who was feisty and awesome and lived to be 99 years old. So I love all sorts of tea. So the tea process happened. So we went back and we learned about the fact that they were eating tea. Well, one day, of course, a lady, tea was brought from China over to England in this late 1600s. There were some tradesmen that were there, and they brought it back. And the Queen of England was like, why would you eat this in a bowl? It should be drank. And so England was the one that changed it over into drinking it as an actual beverage in tea. And so it became so rare and so expensive that the Queen of England commissioned a ship to be made. It's called the Clipper ship. It was the fastest ship at the time. She commissioned a ship to be made to get there fastest so she could have her tea and so she could sell it. At that time, and so by the mid-1700s, tea was 10 times more expensive than coffee. And if you look now, my favorite tea, it's an Earl Grey cream tea, and it's this one in here. Everybody asks if I have drugs at my house. This isn't drugs. There's no drugs. It's just tea. And there is flowers in here, and it's a black tea. It's Earl Grey cream. A pound of Earl Grey cream that I like. Take a wild guess about what a pound of tea. What does an average pound of coffee cost? $5, $7, $8? A pound of my favorite Earl Grey cream tea costs $92. Now, a pound of tea can make you approximately 500 to 600 cups of tea. So this right here will probably make about 40 to 50 cups of tea. So it lasts a lot longer. The first time I saw tea on sale, I almost died. I'm like, oh my gosh, I'll never be able to afford to drink it. And so I drink tea all the time. I am not a honey tea drinker. I like lots of sugar in my tea. The proper way to drink a black tea is boil the water. You put the cream in before you boil the water. Then you put the tea in a little strainer. My favorite strainer or infuser is this sloth. He's a little sloth, and he hangs off the side of my cup. You put it in his bum. It's very sweet. I also have a lovely dinosaur. He hangs up. I know, right? He's so cute. There's bumblebees, but here's the truth of the matter, that if you want to have the best cup of tea, you need to use a metal infuser. It also has to be stainless steel, because if it isn't and you get a cheap one, there are cheap ones you can get for like a nickel online. Don't do it. It rusts and then you taste like metal. Your tea tastes like metal. So you put your tea in this cup, in this little thing, and then the cream has to go in first, because the cream softens the bitterness of the black tea. So the cream has to go in first. And then once the cream, in a cup of Earl Grey tea, it takes 5 to 7 minutes for it to brew properly. So if you drink it before that, you're not getting the best cup. Then after it's brewed for 5 to 7 minutes and the cream is in the bottom, then you can put your sugar in. I don't care how much you put in, but a perfect Earl Grey cup of tea has a lot of brown sugar in it. And it's brown sugar too, it's better than white. So if you ever want to come over and have a cup of tea with me, I probably have 30 or 40 different kinds at home. I love it. I love the process of it. And so yes, there's lots of other teas, and I want to show you one of my favorite. This tea it costs $5 a bulb. Yes, I said bulb. So I want to show you how this works. It's called a flowering tea. And so I'll show you. We have to wait for this little buddy to boil. This is also an electric tea kettle. Anyone who's ever microwaved their water you can't drink tea anymore. It has to be boiled. It tastes so much better boiled. You have to boil the water first. So, this tea, I'll show you how it works. This is a lot for a cup of tea in the morning, right? Doesn't it make you feel better to just go to Starbucks and get a cup of coffee? I know some of you are like, I never do this in the morning. My son does this. I taught my son to do it. So, all right, it's boiling. I also don't normally drink out of this, by the way. This is a drinkable tea, but not. So this tea will actually bloom in the water. It's a flowering tea. So I have special teacups. If you also know me, there are certain cups I refuse to drink out of. I won't drink out of very thin cups. I have to be able to put my hand in the thing, hold it like this, and it has to be thick, right? Well, I had a very dear friend, Jessica Stoddard, knows I love tea, and she also knows that I have very short arms, and I say that I have T-Rex all the time. So she just recently got me for my birthday. It says T-Rex on it, but it's T-E-A for T-Rex. So now it's become my favorite cup of tea. That's what I drink in the morning out of this tea. So this will process over about the next 10 to 15 minutes. This flower will bloom, and then it becomes a delicious mango tea. That one can be done with honey. Also, word for the wise, do not put milk in any sort of citrus tea. You cannot put milk in lemon tea or orange tea or anything like that because the milk will curdle. It can't handle the citrus and the cream. So this is a lot, right? There's a lot to even just making a cup of tea, but here's the thing. There is a tremendous, insane process that goes into making tea before it even gets to my little hands in the morning. There are 4 different kinds of teas. There is a white tea, there's green tea, there's oolong tea, and there's black tea. And every other tea that you hear of falls into one of those categories. So how many of you have ever heard of white tea before? White tea? Well, here's the basis of white tea. White tea is the most minimally processed tea. So if you are into organics, or if you want a tea that's really healthy for you, it's a white tea. All they really do is take the tea leaves off and they dry it, and then you make, so when you get a white tea, it has not been processed. So then there's green tea. It gets plucked, it gets withered, and then it gets rolled, and then you can use it. I know some of you are like, where's this going? I don't care. Is this whole thing going to be about tea? It has a place, I promise. So then green tea is processed a little bit more. Oolong tea has 15 different processes it goes through before it's actually consumed. And then the last tea is the black tea. It is fully fermented and oxygenated before you can actually drink it. So it has a very long process. That's why black teas have the most caffeine in them. That's why black teas are the strongest teas. That's why black teas only take, if you are to brew a white cup of tea, it takes about 10 minutes for it to come to full taste. A black cup of tea, like your Lipton tea bag, that brews within a minute or 2. You can brew that puppy in a minute or 2. And black tea can be used again. So you can reuse tea bags. I know that's kind of gross, but you can. So I know it's nuts that I just talked to you about all these tea, and you guys can have tea with me after if you want. There's all kinds you can try. But it's a lot. It's a process, and it's something that I love. I love to learn about. I love to drink it. My big brother, John, he's actually my little brother, but he's my little big brother that plays bass. He loves tea too, okay? He loves it. He'll tell you that he doesn't, but he does. Actually, he might not tell you that he doesn't. He loves it. He's not ashamed of it. He introduced me to a place called One Good Woman. It's a tea place that has amazing tea. It's in Camp Hill. And so he's a tea drinker like me. His wife Jen's a tea drinker like me. It runs in the family. And so it's a process. Tea, or even if you love coffee, let me just tell you, there's a lot that goes into making that cup of coffee. And it isn't just the beans that are ground and then go into your cup that day. There's a ton that goes into it beforehand. There's a process for a simple thing like tea, or a simple thing like coffee. And so a lot of us are fine with that process. I think it's a beautiful process. I love the fact that this flower is going to bloom, and then I'm going to get to drink a delicious cup of mango tea later, when this is all done. But I have to wait for it to be done, and for it to grow, and for it to steep, and for it to be full flavor. And so I want to talk to you this morning that all of you this morning are like a cup of tea. You're all a cup of tea. And if you tell me it's not your cup of tea, you're wrong, because you're all a cup of tea. You're all going to be a cup of tea this morning. Because all of us have a process. All of us. We're in the middle of a process. We might be in the beginning part of the process. We might be in the middle. We might be at the very end where it's sweet and delicious and wonderful and you just can't wait to bask in the beauty of that cup of tea. Or maybe you're in a place where you're in the beginning process, or you're in the process, these tea leaves, they get withered and dried out. Do any of you feel withered or dried out? Right? Job 16:8 says, this is crazy. It says, you have shrilled me up, and it has become a witness. My gauntness rises up and testifies against me. Any of you when you have kids in the beginning, like for the first 4 years, you're like a bag of bones walking around. You don't sleep, you only eat cold food or half-eaten chicken nuggets, and like a hot meal is a delicacy. Like once you have children, I'm telling you, insanity ensues. And so you feel in that withered place where you're like just laying there dying. Like a whole night's sleep is like vacation when you get a whole night's sleep, And that's part of the process. Some of us feel like we're plucked or being pruned right now, or maybe we're rolled over, or life is just really, really hard. Well, I could never get this cup of tea, this delicious cup of tea, if this tea had not gone through that process. I needed to go through that process to be everything it is meant to be. And so I think a lot of us struggle with the process. How many are you don't have to raise your hand, but how many of you are like, I'm sick of this season of life that I'm in. I'm sick of it. I don't want to be here anymore. It's stupid. I'm sick of this job. I'm sick of things not changing. I feel stuck. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. I hate it. And then we go on social media or we go other places and you just, you look at people's social media and you're like, I just wish I was them. Or I just wish that I was not in this season of life anymore. I wish. We start wishing away the season that we're in. And I think God knows that a lot of us really struggle with wanting other people's stuff. You might not necessarily go up to a friend and be like, I am so angry because I want their car, I want their car, I want their car. But you find yourself, I know as a woman, I find myself like when somebody's in really great shape, I'm like, seriously? Why can't I just be that? I just want to be that. I want to snap my fingers and I want to be that. Well, I didn't gain weight just like that. There was a process to gaining the weight. So there's a process to losing the weight. And sometimes I just want to be somebody else. I want to have somebody else's life. Sometimes I want to be that way. And I think that God knew that we were going to be that way. And this is why I think so. Because the first set of rules that he gave us, this was number 10. It says, you must not covet your neighbor's house. You must not covet your neighbor's wife, male or female servant, ox or donkey, or anything else that belongs to your neighbor. I think a lot of us get stuck there. That says anything else that belongs to your neighbor. That includes their process. That includes their life. That includes their job. That includes the season of life that we're in. I know some of us, when somebody's doing really, really well in life, it's hard to be around them. We struggle because we're envious or we covet what they have. We want their process, or we see somebody else, we want their job. We want their relationship. We want all this stuff, and God knew it. Think about it. From the beginning, thousands of years ago, he knew that we would struggle with coveting and wanting somebody else's stuff, somebody else's process, somebody else's things. You can't focus on what everybody else has if you're going to get through your process well. If these teas had a little brain, they had choices they could make, I'm pretty sure they wouldn't want to bake in the sun and be rolled and withered and smashed and picked apart and then boiled. They're boiled. And if you feel like you've been boiled recently, I know it. There are seasons of life where you're like, I can't take the heat anymore. I want to get out of the kitchen and I want to go to Alaska where no heat is going to touch me again. Right? This isn't to yell at you. This is, I've been there where I'm sick of the process. I'm sick of the season and I don't want to be in it anymore. anymore. So if the Bible says that we can't covet other people's stuff, we can't envy other people's stuff, we can't envy their life or want their stuff or envy their process, how the heck do we handle our own? We have to figure out how to do it, to be content, to be satisfied, to thrive and not to struggle. I think a lot of people really, truly just barely survive in life. They just barely get through the day. They go to bed and they wake up in the morning like, ugh, another day. I got to do this again. That is not what God planned for us. So if we have to enjoy our own process, if we have to handle our own process and not own somebody else's, how do we do it? Well, the first one is you have to trust the one that made you, right? God made us. He made us. He knows our innermost thoughts. Here's the truth of the matter. He knows that I'm going to cry. He knew before I even knew how to cry in my mother's womb, and I'm convinced that I was crying in there too. He knew that I was going to be a crier. He knew it. He knew I was going to be emotional. He knew that my children would be emotional, and he knew that I'd marry a man that is just super even-keeled. He knew that was going to be part of my process. Like when something bad happens in our life, this is Tom. All right, we'll get through it. I'm like, give me something, man. I want you to yell. I want you to cry. Something. He's like, no, God's got it. This is literally how he talks. To me, in the fetal position, I'm weeping like, I'm not going to make it. He's like, you made it yesterday. I'm pretty sure you're going to make it today. I'm like, not what I want to hear right now. So here's the thing. God knew that about me. He knew that about you. He knew how you take. It says in Psalm 139:13, it says, you made all the delicate inner parts of my body, and you knit me together in my mother's womb. Did you know that God knitted like your Nana? I wonder if he was like, has booties up there. I think he's got little booties and bonnets. That like when we get to our mansions in heaven someday, like I'm going to have some really cool bonnets. God didn't really knit, guys, but I like to think of it that way, that God was a knitter, I just picture with little bifocals just knitting with his big man hands. Because he was a carpenter, I just picture him knitting. Okay, fine. Maybe he doesn't knit for you, but he knits for me. And so God knew you in your womb. So if he knew you before you were made, before you developed your personality, before you did all of these things, if he knew that about you, and he knew what was going to happen and how you were going to react, and he knew that you would lose your job, and he knew you'd have a really bad breakup, and he knew all these things, don't you think he's going to give you a way to handle it? You got to trust the one that made you. You have to trust him. Proverbs 3:5-6 says, trust in the Lord with all of your heart. Do not depend on your own understanding. Seek his will in all that you do, and he will show you which path to take. I think that's our problem. We lean on our own understanding. And let me tell you, coming from a woman who cries hysterically at something really sad, and who cries hysterically at something really great, and who cries at stupid commercials in between, I probably shouldn't lean on my own understanding. I probably shouldn't, make my own decisions and rely solely and take control of my life. Quite frankly, I just cry all the time. And you wouldn't know whether I was sad or happy. I love to cry. I cannot lean on my own understanding, or quite frankly, nothing would ever get done. I just sit and cry and weep. Like in reality television where you just shouldn't cry at all, in Survivor, because I love Survivor, I can't wait for when the families come. They bring their families, it's like episode 10 or 12. Every season, they bring their family into the jungles. I don't know these people on TV, but the second is the episode, I'm crying from the beginning. I don't know them. When they run and hug their mom, I'm like, oh my gosh, they've been 39 days without. I'm a mess. It's good that I don't lean on my own understanding. If God created you and he gave you the personality that he gave, you can trust that he knows what to do with you. You can trust that his process for you is the right one. If you're ever going to be okay with your process, you have to trust God first and foremost. Number 2, the storms are going to come. They're going to come. Why do we act surprised when something bad happens? Hello. Life is not berries and cream and unicorns and glitter. By the way, glitter's the worst. I don't even let my kids have it. Because I do not care how much you clean that stuff up, it is there later. And somehow it crawls all the way up to my bedroom or my bathroom, and it's on my bed. How did the glitter get there? I don't know. That's a terrible, you can't get rid of it. So if you don't have children yet, don't let glitter come into your. Do glitter at someone else's house. Or do glitter at school, but not in the Arnold house. There's no glitter there. Storms are going to come, guys. Things are going to get bad. Know it. You know it's coming, so let's stop acting surprised about it. We have a God that created us and everything in us, and He's going to take care of us because He promises that He'll never leave us and forsake us. So we have someone to go through the storm with. In John 15:2-6 it says, He cuts off every branch of mine that doesn't produce fruit, and He prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. You have already pruned and purified the message I have given you. Remain in me, and I will remain in you. Do you hear that? I always read that God did the pruning, the bad bushes. He cut the bad bushes off because they weren't producing fruit. It doesn't just say that. It says He cuts off the branches that don't produce fruit. So the bad things in your life, God will allow you to walk into places so you can cut the junk out of your life. Do you ever wonder why bad relationships end badly? Because they were bad. They should have been cut off. There are things in your life that you shouldn't have, so God allows those things to be cut out of your life. So I used to leave it at that. Then it doesn't end there. It says, and He prunes the branches that do bear fruit so they will produce even more. That means that even when life is good, there's some pruning that needs to be happening. Jeff's daughter taught me, she taught me how to garden, but she just gardens and I watch her garden. I didn't know this, but you have to prune a rose bush. Like you have to cut off even the ones that kind of look good because it'll overtake it, and that feels crazy to me. If I see a beautiful flower growing, I feel like I should leave it there. But if you let them all there, it ends up choking the thing, and then it just ends up dying and being hideous. So even in your life, when life is going good, know that a pruning is going to come. Because God never wants us to be left where we are. He always wants us to be better. He always wants something good, something better for you. So if you're in a storm right now, you're going to be in another one later. So get through this one well with God. It says in James 1:2-4, Dear brothers and sisters, when troubles of any kind come your way, this is a stupid verse. Okay, I hate it. It's one of my least favorites. It says, consider it an opportunity for great joy. It's just annoying. That's annoying. When I'm having a really bad day, I want to be like, yay! Yay! Right now we have 8 dogs at our house. I'm not an animal person to begin with, and now we have 8 dogs. We have 2 adult dogs and we have 6 puppies. Let me tell you, in a couple of weeks, I may look a little more haggard and less pleasant. Because I feel like when those dogs are getting house trained and there's dog stuff in my house, I'm not going to be like, whee! Super excited. This makes me angry, this part. And the reason it makes me angry is because I normally stop here. You can't stop here because this is the best part about it. It says, for you know that when your faith is tested, your endurance has a chance to grow. So let it grow, for when your endurance is fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. If we didn't go through stuff, we'd never grow. If life wasn't hard, we'd never have the chance to change and develop and get better and learn. God's not telling us to enjoy the hardship just for the sake of enjoying it. He's saying if you keep the right perspective in the process, that this struggle can lead you to be better and to do well and to be whole. And it says here, when your endurance has fully developed, you will be perfect and complete, needing nothing. I would like to be there someday. I want to grow. I want to change. I want to develop. Be prepared for the storm, because it's going to come. We can't will it away. It's not going to go anywhere. It's going to come. Number three, fight the good fight. Romans 8:37 says, "No, in all these things we are more than conquerors through him who loved us." We are more than conquerors. How many of you love sports? Anybody love sports? Todd doesn't love them right now because our Steelers have had a too bad season. You know, our Penguins and our Steelers had a rough season. Here's the thing, because we have church, we normally have to tape the games and watch them later. Every once in a while, some joker tells me what happens in the game before I get to see it, right? It is the worst. I'm like, guys, I'm a real fan. I'm going to go home and watch it. Don't tell me anything. Shut it. However, when I hear this score and the Steelers have won the game, and we go home and watch it, I'm a nice enough wife that I don't tell my husband, and we still watch the game because I want to see how it unfolds. Well, when we're down 21 points in the third quarter, but I know that we win in the end, I'm not stressed out about it. I'm kind of, sitting there sort of giggling to myself because I know we win. Tom, on the other hand, is like, sweet mother of mercy. We're down 21 points. We can't do it. And I'm like, babe, you got to know Ben is a fourth quarter quarterback, buddy. He's going to come through. It's going to be fine. I'm not stressed out and overwhelmed because I know what happens in the end. I know that we win. Well, here's the thing in life. If the Bible says if you remain in Christ, that we're more than conquerors, and we win in the end. So facing storms, fighting the battle becomes easier because you know that you win. We get stuck in the mindset of living here on this earth. We get stuck here. So something bad happens on earth, our earthly lives are over. But this is just a short time frame. This life that we have is a short, even for my Graham, it's a short 99 years. If you are in right relationship with Jesus, you get to spend forever in perfection. So if we can focus on the fact that we win in the end, even when something terrible comes along, even when we have someone in our life that passes away, or maybe we get a diagnosis with cancer. No, having cancer is not fun, and you shouldn't do cartwheels when you get it. But if you have your eyes on Jesus and know that you are more than a conqueror, and that you love him, the end result is that you get to be with him in heaven. If we see that we win, we can handle all the other things. Because I know that the Steelers are going to win, I don't know how they're going to get there. I don't know how they let themselves get 21 points down in the third quarter. But because I know what happens in the end, they'll figure it out, and I'll enjoy the process of watching them. I'll enjoy Tom squirming a little bit because it's like, it's not going to happen. But I'm like, yes, it is. When we know that we're conquerors and that we are winning in the end, it takes navigating all this stuff. It makes it a little bit easier. We have to remember that it's one foot in front of the other. The Bible says that he is a light into our path. It's one step in front of the other. If you keep your eyes on Jesus and know that we win in the end, the stuff that happens here isn't so overwhelming, isn't crushing. And I'm not telling you you're not going to have a moment where you're like, I want to quit and this is stupid. You're a human being. I'm sure that when Jesus stubbed his toe, he was mad. Or I'm sure that when he whacked his thumb with a hammer because he was a carpenter, he was mad. I'm sure it didn't feel good. But he knew why he was there in his process. I'm sure dying on the cross was awful. But he knew that he won in the end. He could do and go through all this stuff because he wins in the end. And number 4, to your process in life. So how do you get through the process? Because the end of the process is amazing. Heaven is the end process for all of us that serve Jesus. It's the end. It's really the beginning. It's the end of this natural life into heaven. So I just want to read to you a little bit about heaven. So in Revelation 21, 4-5, it says, I heard a loud voice shout from the throne. God's home is now with his people. He will live with them and they will be his own. Yes, God will make his home among his people. I love this part here. It says, he will wipe all tears from their eyes. There will be no more death, suffering, crying, or pain. These things of the past are gone forever. Doesn't that sound really nice? Doesn't that sound wonderful? No crying, no suffering, no pain. So all of that emotional part is for me. I'm like, praise him. Although I kind of want to be like, can I cry a little for like when there's really good food up there? Like when you have what my mansion looks like Joanna Gaines decorated it. Can I cry a little for like I'm sheer bliss and excited about this, God? I'm going to ask. There's a lot of questions I'm asking God when I get to, there's a lot. He might not want me to come so soon. So also, here's another depiction of heaven. It's also in Revelation 21, it's verse 18. Okay, so this is what heaven, it says, the wall was built of jasper, and the city was made of pure gold, clear as crystal. Each of the 12 foundations was a precious stone. The first was jasper, the second was sapphire, the third gate was a gate, the fourth was emerald, the fifth was onyx, the sixth was carnelian, the seventh was chrysolite. First time I read it, I'm like, it was chrysolite. This sounds terrible. It's a powder. I don't know why it would be made of that. The eighth was beryl, the ninth was topaz, the 10th was chrysoprase, I don't know. The 11th was jacinth, and the 12th was amethyst. Each of the 12 gates was a solid pearl. The streets of the city were made of pure gold, clear as crystal. Dude, we're going to be walking on the most valuable, one of the most valuable things is gold on our planet. We're going to be walking on it. We want to rush whatever season that we're in. We want to be to the next phase. We want to do all this stuff. But I know that God put me here for a purpose, for a reason, and for a process. And here's the thing. My favorite cup of tea is cream Earl Grey, right? But there's something that takes that baby to the next level. It's called a London fog. And you steam milk. It has to be steamed. Not microwaved, everybody. Throw your microwaves in the trash if you're going to drink tea from them. It's steamed milk. It's a little bit of heavy cream, a little bit of sweet cream, and it's Earl Grey, cream Earl Grey tea. It is delicious, but it takes a while to make. It's not like the Lipton tea bag that I pop in the, well, I don't ever pop it in the microwave, but if you do, you pop it in the microwave, it's done in a minute. London fog takes a while. I don't care, because it's so good. I can't take a piece out of, the London fog won't be a London fog if I take the steamed milk out. The London fog isn't going to be a London fog if I take the Earl Grey cream tea out. Or if I take a piece of the process, if I don't steam the milk, it's just cold milk and wet leaves. It's disgusting. And all of us want God to remove some of the process in our lives because we don't like to wait. Let God give you the process that He's given you. Let God be with you in the hard times. Let Him be with you in the waiting. Let Him be with you in the struggle. Let Him be with you when things are really amazing. But don't take this time in your life to wish that the process was different or somebody else's. Because each one of these teacups are very special to me. If you're all a cup of tea, each one, look how different they are. And I have so many more at home. I was going to bring, Tom's like, where are you going to put those? How are you going to show? I'm like, yeah, but people need to see them. People need to see how pretty they are. Sometimes I want to force people to drink Diet Coke out of them so they get to use them. Because some people don't like tea. I don't know how that's a thing, but it is, I guess. Here's the thing. Each one of you has your own process. Each one of you is unique and special and amazing. Each one of you means something incredible. You are incredible to God. Each one of you is special to Him. This teacup cannot possibly be my Graham's teacup. It's beautiful in every way. But so is this. And so when you try to want somebody else's process, or you wish away your own, you're missing the beauty that God has for you. And if you focus on Him and let Him walk with you, the process can be beautiful. Painful, yes. Sweet at times, yes. Shawnee, you can come up. Wonderful, awful, terrible, great. But don't wish away your process. Trust the process. Trust where you are, even if you don't want to be where you are right now. Ask God to help you be content and trust that He's got you. Why don't you guys stand on up and get ready to pray with me this morning. I know that my God is good. And I know that even the storms and even the struggle is worth it in the end, because I know that I get to be with Him. So this morning I want to pray over you. Maybe you're in part of the process that you hate, and more than anything, you don't want to feel it anymore. We get to, as a church, walk with you in that. You shouldn't walk through the process by yourself. So we're going to pray this morning, and if you are in a process that you want to get out of, or you're in a part of the process that you need help walking through, walk with us. Let us walk with you. Father, we thank you this morning for who you are. We thank you that we get to be in a process, God, that even if we don't understand it, you walk with us. You set the process before us. But I pray this morning that we would begin to trust you. Lord, I pray that we wouldn't struggle to see you through the clouds, that we wouldn't struggle to see that you're walking with us. Lord, we love you this morning. Father, I pray that you be with us. If you're here this morning and maybe you are struggling with trusting God because maybe people have hurt you, maybe trust is just something that you don't give away easily. If you're here this morning and you'd like God to open up your heart to trust Him more, if you just raise your hand this morning, I just love to pray with you that God would allow you to see Him as a tender Father that wants to take care of you, that wants to love you, that wants to walk with you. Father, you see these hands this morning. God, for those of us that struggle with trust, it's hard to even lift our hands and say we need you. Lord, I pray that you'd make yourself real today. God, move in their hearts this morning. And Father, we ask for those of us that are in a rough season of life, and it feels like it'll never end. Lord, I pray that you would be the light at the end of our tunnel. That we would see that you love us enough to walk us through it. Lord, I pray that we'd stop wanting somebody else's life and that we'd want what you have for us this morning. Father, I pray that you'd anoint each person here today. I pray for those moms. God, I pray that you'd bless them today. For those of us that are moms, I pray that each one of us would be able to rest and enjoy our families this morning, God. I ask you to move. In your precious name we pray. Amen. Amen. If you'd like to try tea, you can. We have a lot of fun things for you out there. We have, if you're picking up your kids today, there's a little photo booth in the kids area that you can take some funny pictures with your kids. There's also one in the lobby as well. But there are mocktails out there. There's a chocolate fountain with all kinds of things to dip into it. There's cotton candy. Please, mothers, enjoy your days. Have a wonderful day. If anyone needs prayer, we will be up here to pray with you. Have a